Hey everybody, it's Aiden here once again with a more topical video than what I normally do, and in fact this could be the sequel to my Make F1 Great Again video where I suggested ways to make F1 better. Perhaps this could be the next episode of Hotlaps and Chat. I was planning to do a race for today's video, but I'm just in no shape whatsoever to drive today. And before you think, well, what about these Hotlaps? Well, the footage in this video was recorded last week, but I did the live video instead. But anyway, I'm here because I came across an article posted on ESPN in the last week or so. In the article, Carmen Jorda suggested that female racing drivers should not be aiming for Formula 1, but should instead be aiming for Formula E because, in her own words, women aren't strong enough and the FE cars are easier to drive. Fuck off. Going off script slightly, I know people that have overcome the odds, so to speak. I know people who are disabled that have gone on to achieve high positions in schools, become managers of national shops, national chains, shops, you know what I mean, and people that have started their own business. And when you've got someone that's going against the initiative that they are part of to try and get people to overcome these odds, it kind of messes the whole system up a little bit. And it kind of got me thinking, name me another sport on the planet other than mixed doubles tennis, and I guess horse racing, as that's an animal plus human instead of all human, in which men and women compete on the same field of play at the same time. I'll give you a few seconds to think it over. You can't. Football, rugby, ice hockey, athletics, snooker, and even cricket have separate male and female competitions. And cricket isn't even a sport. Nothing where you stand in a field for 5 days and do nothing can be considered a sport. It's just train spotters taking the working week off. And while we're on the subject, darts also has separate male and female competitions. How can darts of all sports be so demanding that you have to segregate men and women? Okay, this subject is beyond my tiny little mind, but this series is where I offer opinions on the happenings of the real motorsport world, as it's not just virtual racing cars I enjoy. I like real ones too. In fact, cars are my job. I have to stay current. Motorsport is the only competition on the planet where women and men compete in the same competition, and that's the same regardless of which series you watch. Karts, all the way up to Formula 1, NASCAR, Indy, V8 supercars, GTs, and please don't get the impression that I've suddenly become a raging feminist cuck that has had his mind warped to demand men and women compete equally and all that. I'm saying that the comments made by Carmen Jorda are detrimental to her own cause and don't help the situation whatsoever. 10 years ago, the only female racer with any public profile would have been Danica Patrick, and maybe Sabine Schmitz. Danica was the female racer, but now? I'll ream off some names here, and you tell me in the comments how many of these names you can recognise. Danica Patrick, Simona De Silvestro, Jamie Chadwick, Molly Taylor, Tatiana Calderon, Christina Nielsen, Catherine Legge, Pippa Mann, Leanne Tander, Rebecca Jackson, Courtney Force, Renee Gracie, Abby. You might have heard of some of them. You might have heard of most of them, and if you recognise all of them, then give yourself a cookie on me. In addition to these drivers, we also have Claire Williams, Williams Grand Prix Engineering Deputy Team Principal, Manisha Kaltenborn, who was the former Team Principal at Sauber, and we have Ruth Buscombe, Sebastian Vettel's former strategist at Ferrari and now working at Sauber, where Tatiana Calderon is now their development driver. Even as low as karts, girls compete in the same competition. In fact, in 2017, Abby Pullen became the first female British junior karting champion. Jamie Chadwick has also won the British GT4 Championship. So if girls are now beating boys on a kart track and in sports cars, then they should be able to stay in the same competitions. Right? I guess you run into the issues with parents. How embarrassed would you be if your boy was beaten by a girl? Then you impart that sexism onto the kid. The whole, you should not be getting beaten by a girl belief springs to mind. But if a girl can beat a boy, then that only gives them confidence, gives them hope, makes them think they can actually do something. And I like that. Girls and boys. Give kids hope. Give them ambition. Be an inspiration. Maybe this is the former teacher in me talking here. So kids have all of that, only for Carmen Jorda to rip all those hopes away. In fact, in a recent interview with the BBC World Service, Tatiana Calderon admitted that she had to crash her car to earn the respect of boys. But those same boys she beat would say, you know what, I remember when you passed me on that corner and it really hurt my ego, but fantastic job either way. Another problem, and probably the major one really, that affects both genders, and there are only two genders by the way, is that motorsport, much like my experiences in music, is a very particular thing. As much as it would have been great for my head teacher to spend European Union funding on some karts and a track for us to race on at lunchtime, it just was not going to happen. The school never spent any money on music or the arts, so my family helped fund my music career. Yeah, that never really turned out, did it? But thankfully they were in a financial position to be able to do that, much like some families are able to fund a motorsport career. Instead of a kart track or a wall of Marshall stacks, we got a new maths block. Yay. Carmen Jorda was appointed to the FIA's Women in Motorsport Commission and was once 18 seconds a lap slower around Spa-Francorchamps in a GP3 race and got lapped halfway through that same race. I'll add now, that race was only 13 laps long. Allegedly, she was also 12 seconds slower in the Lotus Simulator than the previous slowest driver. Tatiana Calderon, on the other hand, who currently competes in GP3, had consistent finishes last season, knocking on the door of points in most of them, and has a Formula Renault 3.5 podium to her name at only the second race. Okay, Calderon's career isn't exactly going to be giving Sebastian Vettel sleepless nights anytime soon, but she's trying. She's trying much harder than Jorda, that's for sure. And the fact I fancy the daylights out of it has nothing to do with this, by the way. I mean, it's fine, the missus fancies Shawn Mendes, and I get Calderon. And Jennifer Lawrence. And Anna Kendrick. And Scarlett Johansson. And Kylie Pentelow. And Becky Wood. And Simona Di Silvestro. And Mila Kunis. Long story short here, someone like Jorda with her racing record is nowhere near qualified enough to sit on a panel like the FIA Women in Motorsport thing. It's almost like appointing Lance Armstrong head of the World Anti-Doping Agency. It's no secret, in fact it's biologically proven, that men are stronger than women. In the same interview with the World Service, Calderon said that women have less lean muscle than men, so the training has to be a little bit harder to keep it up. Men are also faster than women. There is no way Daphne Schippers is going to be running sub 10 seconds in the 100 metres anytime soon. The Dare to be Different initiative set up by Susie Wolff was set up with the intention of helping to get girls interested in motorsport and motorsport engineering, as well as just regular engineering. This being that motorsport and engineering have very typically been bloke jobs, filled with lads who have top bands and have the Pirelli calendar every year. And as far as I can see, it's working. Girls are getting interested in the sport and people like Claire Williams serve as role models to these girls. If that gets more people, boys and girls, involved in the sport, then what's the issue? It seems, in motorsport at least, that women are damned if they do and damned if they don't. If they get a ride, some say it's because they've shagged their way in. If they don't get a ride, the feminazis will be saying, oh, they're discriminated against. Danica Patrick was an advertising machine for GoDaddy, the internet domain registry service, but she wasn't Taki Inui levels of crap. She wasn't at the back of the grid every qualifying, and didn't finish last every time. She actually won a race. That's right, Danica won a race. Jenson Button was one of the big names to basically say, whoa, what you talking about, Willis, on Twitter. Button said, Carmen, you're not helping proper female drivers with this comment. I like how he included the word proper in there because Jorda is shit. Lena Garda, a Le Mans 24-hour winning designer, followed Jensen saying, look, you and I are both members of the FIA WIM Commission, designed to encourage women and girls into motorsport. Your comments totally belittled the quality of the field in Formula E and its competitive prowess. Added to that, you've basically told young girls not to aspire to anything but to take the easy way out. The reason to go into any competition is to beat the best, and that's how you become great. Your opinions do not represent Commission members and what we work to do. We want women to come into a sport that has given so many of us so much joy and to grow the sport that we are so passionate about. Now, I'd say I can lift. I lifted PA equipment and amplifiers in and out of cars for a few years on the pub band circuit, and I used to be a half-decent athlete that was once a local champion for the 80-metre hurdles. But I can tell you right now that despite the fact that she's nearly 8 inches shorter than me, Danica Patrick would decimate me in a gym, and Ronda Rousey would cause death by snoo-snoo. Simona De Silvestro later tweeted that she had driven an Indy car competitively, a Formula E car competitively, and even tested a Formula 1 car, and at no point did she feel that she was disadvantaged physically in any way. The issue isn't women, it's Jorda. It seems that the failed racer is determined to stop others making the dream come true that she failed at reaching. Besides, if Formula E is so easy, then why isn't she in it? Instead of being bitter and jealous that you didn't make it, why not do what Susie Wolff, who is also an admitted failed racing driver, has done? Instead of telling people you're not going to make it, turn it into something like, you could be the first person to change this. Work hard, get back up when you're knocked over, and make a difference. Instead, you'll get a generation of kids going, well, I'm not going to make it, so what's the point? Dani Pedrosa is 5'2". Yeah, excuse me. Oh well, this is how ill I actually am. But anyway, Dani Pedrosa is 5'2" and weighs about 50 kilos, yet he wrestles with some of the most powerful bikes in the world at tremendous speeds. Shane Williams was told he was too small to play rugby, and is now Wales' highest try scorer and the 4th highest try scorer of all time. Darcy Bussell was told she was too tall to be a ballet dancer. But for every Shane Williams, Dani Pedrosa and Darcy Bussell, there will be 100 kids turned off by what people are telling them. They need encouragement. They need something to aim for and to aspire to. Kids in the United States are brought up being told that they could be president. Kids in the UK are taught it will never happen. So instead of telling kids that it's not going to happen, give them something to aim for, even if they don't make it, as Susie Wolff has done. All of what I've just said and all this in general is not about giving women an easy ride into Formula 1, because that would go against equality by allowing someone a pass because of the fact they're a woman. It's about saying, you can do this, you have a chance of showing what you can do, so get out there and do it. Danica Patrick in the 2014 Mercedes would not win the title, but if she gave it all she had and couldn't keep up, then fine, she couldn't keep up. At least she's tried. Same for Susie Wolff. She realised she wasn't going to make it, so stopped, and set up an initiative to allow others to achieve her dream for her. It seems that the only way for a woman to be taken seriously in motorsport is to have no sponsors, have a face like Raoul the Ghoul from Fallout New Vegas, and win convincingly. But should women compete on the same playing field as men in motorsport? Or should they have their own series? Would women holding more engineering jobs in Formula 1 encourage more people to head into research and development work to not just build the next dominant machine, but change the world in terms of what we drive on the roads? I personally don't think we'll ever see a woman competing in Formula 1, but if they keep trying, eventually, they might. And this goes for other industries as well. Should we encourage more girls into science? Because the more brains you put into something, the chances of finding the cure for AIDS or the cure for cancer might come a bit quicker. I don't know. But like I say, let me know in the comments. Let's get some discussion going, and I'll try and have some racing done for you on Monday, provided I shift this bastard cold. You know when you have a cold and you just don't have the energy? Yeah, that's me right now. But thank you very much for listening to my ranting and my rambling. Remember to like and subscribe. Well, I mean, you got this far, so you might as well, right? And I'll see you all again on Monday for another video. I've been Aidan Millward. Have a great weekend wherever you are on this planet. And I will leave you with the remainder of the Hotlaps. The Hotlaps on this video have been driven in cars driven by women, if that makes any sense. So we've had Danica Patrick, Pippa Mann, and Tatiana Calderon. So I will leave you with the real sound of that. So, goodbye.
I feel like a woman.